Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It is official. The Russians invited the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, to visit Russia. They did it officially, formally, right there. It is done in an, as I said, official way, according to Lavrov, the Foreign Minister of the Russian Federation. That is the first topic. The second one, who is going to send troops to Ukraine in order to keep the peace in case the peace is reached? The Americans don't want that. The Italians don't want that. The Germans don't want that. Can you guess who might be? Well, the Poles, probably the Romanians. The Brits won't be, but hey, they want it. So this is another topic that I have about 3 articles regarding this issue, and I will show you an example of a Polish diplomat who, it was going to be an example for you if needed be, how these guys get in certain position of power or authority with, to be part of Polish foreign ministry. You must be a very intelligent and very well-read person. And this person makes a statement that is showing his, limitations, intellectual limitations or moral limitations, because he either knows that what he's saying is idiotic, but he says it nevertheless. That means he's a piece of, or he doesn't know it. There is an infantile and ignorant, actually. So let's start with the first one. Trump invited to visit Russia. Russia Today. This is from the 19th of August 2025. Trump invited to Russia, Lavrov says. The US president has previously expressed an interest in visiting Moscow, the foreign minister recalled. US President Donald Trump has received a formal invitation to visit Moscow. Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov has confirmed. During the last week's summit in Alaska, Russian President Vladimir Putin extended the invitation to Trump in person. In an interview with the television channel Russia 24 on Tuesday, which is today, Lavrov stated that Trump, and I'm quoting, has an invitation, end quote, and recalled that during the summit, the US president had indicated the idea of him visiting Russia is interesting, end quote. During their joint press conference with Putin last week, Trump admitted, however, that he could get a little hit for traveling to Moscow. Nevertheless, he said he can, and I'm going to see it possibly happening. I thought that this guy is in charge. He's the leader, we're told. Hit from whom? From the mass media? He knows what best. That's why certain things are done in secrecy. So why would he care? He knows what's best. That's why we elected him, didn't we? He represents our will. He's over there to represent the all Americans. So he must be getting a hit from whom? From those guys, you're saying? My friends, let's move on. So they are having an invitation. Sputnik. Trump was invited to visit Russia. Foreign Minister Lavrov confirms. Where is this one? Or not this one? No, I have another one, but it's another picture. I looked at another handshake, and this guy's looking in his eyes, and this guy looks at his mouth or nose. He doesn't look in his eyes. Even here you can see his eyes are lower. But hey, what do I know? He has an invitation, as you know, and in Alaska at a press conference, President Putin confirmed this invitation. And Donald Trump, if I remember correctly, said it was very interesting. Right? Okay. What do you think will happen? Well, I think it depends on what's going on with the trilateral meeting first, and then Trump will visit Russia. I give you 99%, I think he will visit Russia. Now, it's not going to happen in the next week or two, but will visit Russia if things in Ukraine end. I think I'm 99% certain that Trump will not visit Russia while these negotiations are still ongoing. No, not like that. He will do it if they reach an agreement. There's going to be everybody's friends, and all of a sudden even though Putin did not change his condition, he's still the evil guy, he's going to be accepted in the circle of friends. Okay, in the circle of friends, in the civilized world. And you saw what the civilized world did and is doing and how they think. All right, next topic. Ukrainska Pravda. This is from, again, Tuesday, 19th of August, 2025. Trump guarantees no U.S. troops will be in Ukraine. But whose troops then? I tell you what's going to be. It's going to be the baboons of, as I said, from Poland, Romania, Baltic states, maybe, if the Russians agree. It's always that. They have the power to say no, and there's going to be a no, and yet. And the Americans will provide the weapons. That means these guys are going to buy with interest from international banking system. So the banks, international banks, will give loans to the countries to buy the American private companies, arms manufacturing companies, their weapons built with the energy provided by you know whom. And then from there, they will give it to the guys they're going to arm Europe. They will give the weapons to those peacekeeping troops and so on. It's a racket. But it's not a racket because it's nothing illegal. Everything is legal. The same thing as with campaign donations. In any other situation on this planet, I mean, I'm exaggerating, that will be called a bribery. But in this guy's situation, no, it's campaign donation. I give you money because I want you to get elected. I support you. And when you get elected, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to call you and I want that money not back. And I'm going to give you a board of directors position after you are kicked out of that position. So yeah, but that's not corruption. Why? Everything is legal. Everything I said, the same here. It's legal what these guys are doing, but it's obviously something that you can follow the money. Remember, follow the money, you get where it is. So let's see what Trump says about this no deployment. US President Donald Trump has said that as president, he will not authorize the deployment of American troops in Ukraine. Trump made this statement on Fox News. In response to a question about possible security guarantees, Trump said that European countries will take the lead role with our weapons. And I'm quoting, they want to have boots on the ground. Not all of them, he said, referring to France, Germany, and United Kingdom. No, I will take these guys out and I will show you right. Germany will not deploy forces to Ukraine. This is from 18th. Today is the 19th. Correct? So I don't know what these guys are saying, something that's not correct. Not these guys, but these guys. I don't think it's going to be a problem, he added. Asked whether he could guarantee that there would be no American troops in Ukraine, Trump replied, "You have my assurance, and I'm the president. I'm just trying to stop people being killed." Yeah, but by deploying troops, you're going to keep the peace going. The peace. Shh. Remember, let me read this for you. Words are very important. Right, you have my assurance, and I'm president. He doesn't say as long as I am the president and I am president. So either this guy is a illiterate imbecile, Donald Trump, and he eats words that should be placed somewhere, but he says, you have my assurance. Now, let's say right now you say you're Christian, and you know that one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill, right? You should not kill. But what if someone wants to kill your child? And the only way you can defend your child is to kill the guy. Would you do it? Or would you say, it's God's plan and I let it happen and I'm just going to pray God that the guy will burn in hell? Which one would you do? I tell you which one I would do. I will fuck him up. All right? So, based on what? Circumstances change decisions. So he says over there, you have my assurance. Now, but if the circumstances change tomorrow, he might say, well, things change, man. The situation deems necessary deployment of American troops. Never trust anybody's going to tell you anything, actually, unless you build a relationship, trust relationship with that person. He can say, I will never deploy any American troops. And I know something happens, and he'll say, well, We've been attacked. We have to react. And what am I supposed to do? My child is attacked by this guy. The commandment. Get on it. Anyway, so let's move on. But let me just see here. French President Emmanuel Macron and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer believe that the most important outcome of the White House talks was the US readiness to work on security guarantees for Ukraine. But he said, no, it's not going to be me, it's going to be you guys. Now, UK might want to send troops, France might want to send troops, but it's the Russians who would say niet. Next, Italy opposes Western troops deployment to Ukraine. Well, nobody cares about you, Meloni. Prime Minister Meloni has reportedly sparred with French President Macron over the issue ahead of talks in Washington. So, they have, according to the report, French President Emmanuel Macron spoke in favor of a joint European deployment, prompting Meloni to respond. Russia has 1.3 million soldiers. How many should we send to be up to the task? Well, Meloni is ill-informed. Russia has the potential of 30 million. But anyway, you can say the same thing about us. But they don't care. They don't care. In early March, Macron and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced the creation of a coalition of the willing to provide ground and air forces in a peacekeeping role in Kiev and Moscow, and not only, and reach a truce or a peace deal. The Russians says what? They said they will not. Germany, Poland, Spain, Romania, and Croatia have all refused to participate in the hypothetical military mission in Ukraine. Then this will be made, Poland. Why do you think they have Tusk everywhere, flaunted in front of everybody? Because he will do. Romania will follow orders. Croatia, we don't care. Spain, you don't care. Poland, Romania, you will be the ones. I will say. Back in April, Sergey Shoigu, Secretary of the Russian National Security Council and former defense minister, warned that the arrival of NATO troops in Ukraine could trigger a third world war. That means niet. That means, what the hell are you talking about? So these guys can plan how much they want, but the Germans say yesterday, we will not deploy forces to Ukraine. And I think there will not be, unless you have but that would definitely trigger a war. Indian forces, Russian forces, I don't know, South African forces, Chinese forces, North Korean forces. If you balance, then probably, but you just get one and another in close proximity, they will, I don't know, make love. Yeah, you know what they're going to do. An incident will spark something, and then there's going to be a lot of fingers pointing at one another. How could that be solved? This has to be, I think, managed by two countries, the United States of America and Russia. I would say Russia should manage that, but we'll find out if you just want to get the Americans in. But definitely none of those guys. And when I say managed, no, I'm not talking about the American troops being NATO troops deployed in Russia, in Ukraine like that. And regarding the security guarantees, forget about it. You provide security guarantees before and nothing happened. And here we have a Polish baboon right here. New Voice of Ukraine. And I'm quoting, paper guarantees for Ukraine won't be believed by Ukrainians or Europeans. Polish Foreign Ministry. Now, question for this guy. Why didn't you put here at the end Ukrainians or Europeans or Russians? Because Russians were lied to by you as well. Remember Minsk Agreement 1 and 2? 2014, 2015? There were some signatory states. One of them was Poland. Do you remember that one? And they guaranteed the implementation of the Minsk agreements. Remember the ceasefire and so on, and then remained only France. Remember, France and Germany who guaranteed that they were the guarantors that Ukraine would implement the Minsk agreement too, and they didn't. So don't give me about the Ukrainians and the Europeans, because they had the paper signed and they didn't give a fuck. So Mr. Polish Foreign Ministry, he's either a piece of you know what, or he doesn't know shit. He's an ignorant. Which one is it? Because he must know that not long ago they did the same thing. About promises and this, please, I have a... So what's going on here? Let's read. Polish Deputy Foreign Minister, deputy, he must be a diplomat, Marcin Bosak, warned against paper security guarantees for Ukraine, because we are the victims, saying neither Ukrainians nor Europeans would trust them. Why? Because the Russians broke it, right? Ukraine had such guarantees and theoretically still has them from Russia and from you to implement them, and from France. But they were brutally violated by Putin in 2014. What? In 2020, this guy doesn't know that it was a coup d'etat in Ukraine organized by Western democracies? Earlier, it was reported American and European leaders are working on an accelerated pace on security guarantees for Ukraine to lay the groundwork for a meeting between Ukrainian President Zelensky and Vladimir Putin. And I made a video earlier today where I enumerated the four demands, and they are unacceptable to the Russians. Why? Because they require NATO troops in Ukraine. That was one of the maybe main two reasons, the biggest reasons why Russia entered Ukraine. I know it was unjustified aggression for no reason. But the Russians still have a long list of reasons, but these guys choose to ignore them. That means there's no reasons. And one of them was NATO. That was the main one. So you bring troops, peacekeeping troops, NATO peacekeeping troops in Ukraine, that means you bring NATO officially. That's exactly what these guys wanted to avoid in the first place. So these guys are just, either are idiots or they still don't want to let it go. And the Russians will not let it go. Why would they? They haven't been losing. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Remember, that's a diplomat. The why I picked this one is to show, if needs to be done again, these guys have titles, have names. Foreign Minister Sikorsky, he's an MI6 agent, married with Anna Applebaum, you know what I mean? And they write one for the Atlantic, and the other one is now the Foreign Minister of Poland. They will never be objective. You can say, well, he's working for Poland. He's not even working for Poland. His masters are across the English Channel. That's where they are. And if you want to extrapolate it, they are everywhere as a diaspora. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.